You know when you get the bad controller in Madden and like you can't juke?
Yeah.
Like that's Tyler Algier. He's like, I don't know if you ever had like, I think the Jets win the division. Aaron Rodgers wins
That's tough.
a third MVP in 4 years.
Is this how this take happened?
Dude. David, spell ayahuasca.
I'm upset that I think I know how to spell it, and I'm a spelling bee type. I look like I went to calligraphy camp. IOUHEUSCO, maybe.
Okay, I could not.
Take a look at the NFC South because it is the worst division in football.
Moving to the NFC South. Saints at the top of the division at 9-8. Falcons.
That's horse.
At 9-8. Well, Anthony, who the hell is going to win this division? Someone's got to win it.
Okay, you want my hottest take I'm going to have today?
Oh, let me get the
Where's
button.
the button? Get the button.
Oh my god.
There's a
hot take button.
Let me see that.
Go for it. Go for it. You got to press it after you say it.
Okay.
And put it in the microphone too.
Yes.
There it is. The Bucs will win the NFC South.
Baker Mayfield and the Bucs winning the AFC South.
I could see that.
As I was looking at that ranking, I was like, honestly, this division is so trash that Baker Mayfield could will this team to a playoff. They have offensive
Mike Evans and Godwin, dude.
Yeah, they have threats on the offense. I think
people forget Baker Mayfield actually has a fucking cannon.
Yeah.
I think people forget that. He actually has a cannon.
Was playing extremely well, ironically, alongside Russell Wilson the first 3 games of the season before he broke his shoulder, which, what an absolute cluster. The Cleveland Browns, by the way, trotting out a guy with a literal broken arm, like a broken bone in their non-throwing arm, where it changed his throwing technique and made him so incredibly inaccurate. Like, I think we had Case Keenum at the time backing him up. Like, just Case Keenum is capable.
He's the
Baker
goat in my
Mayfield
eyes.
is in pain. He's probably decreasing the longevity of his career going through this and absolutely just destroying his brand and probably the relationship with Kevin Stefanski and the relationship with his teammates there in Cleveland. I think Baker Mayfield, he's not dead to me yet. I think he could have a resurgence in his career with Tampa Bay. Granted, that's a really shitty situation to be in with that offensive line the way it is. They couldn't run the ball at all last year. They were very inefficient. And even then, Leonard Fournette was still like running back 11 on the year. So if you are worried about Alexander Madison being inefficient for the Vikings, maybe shut the fuck up because he's going to get a lot of touches anyway. But anyways, I love the Bucs.
I think they win that division.
And Leonard's still out there.
As a free agent, yeah.
I'm telling you, dude, Zeke, go to the Bucs, dog.
Is this my point where I should
Oh.
bring up that if Jameis Winston gets injured, Taysom Hill becomes
For the Green Bay
I
Packers.
got it right this time.
Okay, so I do want to say one thing really quick. I could totally see the Buccaneers actually outperforming. I want to say some things from other episodes too. I said that I thought OBJ is going to have a shit season. I still kind of believe that, but I did see some camp film come out on him where he like faked a back shoulder.
While
it
the
looked
ball was
icy.
in the air.
That shit looked
Yeah.
icy, but I don't think it's a good replication or an indication that the season he's going to be good.
Yeah, we're talking about
But I am going to
practice.
say too, I'm sorry I was wrong about Dalvin Cook going to the Jets. That's not official. It is officially unofficial or unofficially official. Whichever
Dalvin
way.
Cook tweeted that he's going to the Jets, basically.
Cool.
is
Yeah. Well,
what
and
Caleb is
I've
referring
heard
to.
reports too that
Did
the
we argue
Jets-
about that? I forget.
No, but I said like I couldn't see it. You said, well, it's gonna happen, so get used to it. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. And then I remember in our messages too, you sent, I guess Aaron Rodgers just forked up $30 million and said, go get Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, so that's some big news that happened earlier this week. Aaron Rodgers took, I believe, a $34 million pay cut on Monday. I remember it was Monday because I was in the gym talking to people about it, and everyone's like, no, Jamie, that's old news. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not old news. This
Yeah.
is breaking news. I'm seeing it on Twitter right now. They're like,
I'll admit I was one of those people.
yeah. And I was like looking at everybody like, am I taking crazy pills or did I absolutely miss Aaron Rodgers just saying you can keep $30 million? Go ahead and get me Dalvin Cook, by the way.
That's why I
if you
was
don't
asking
mind.
you, like, are you
Yeah.
sure he's going? You're like, I am 100% sure that
The
Dalvin
timing
Cook
is too
is going to the Jets.
There has been a little bit of a setback in the Dalvin Cook thing because there was a story that resurfaced, a trial, a lawsuit that resurfaced, a domestic dispute situation.
When he was in college, right?
No.
Oh, no.
It was
yeah.
recent.
Yes, I do remember that. I do remember that.
I looked into it. There are text messages that are really incriminating towards Dalvin Cook, but there's a video and just the story that this woman had. Just,
yep.
I hate to speculate, but we kind of have to at this point because even you always say like, oh, we'll let the jury decide. It's never going to go to a trial. Yeah. It's going to get settled outside of court. And Dalvin will probably say like, oh, I'll talk about it just like Deshaun did. Like, oh, I'll talk about it when we get past it. Mm-hmm. And then 5 years passes and just nothing ever happens. But yeah, I'm not super concerned about that situation with that domestic dispute. Like I said, there is a video that really told a very different story to what the woman had claimed.
Yeah.
Of course, if something bad did happen, I hope he does get, punished to whatever extent of the law. But reading the tea leaves there, I think Dalvin Cook will come out fine on that. And I still think he will be a Jet. Oh, maybe week 3 of Hard Knocks. Is when he'll have the big thing, the private jet. He'll walk out the private jet and give Aaron Rodgers, NFC North buddy, a big old hug.
That shit's crazy, dude. That's Aaron Rodgers alone in a Jets uniform. I can already see he's gonna wear those dog shit like blacked out uniforms they have when they play the Packers. He's just got to look evil as shit, and then having to see Aaron Rodgers in a different shade of green playing the Packers with Dalvin Cook behind him. It's like you went and played Madden and you did like a select your team and then a redraft. That's what that shit's like.
A fantasy.
Yes.
A fantasy.
Those are really fun to play
reset.
like late into the night, by the way. You can do a full redraft and then, it's cool.
Do you think he does the full Brett Favre loop where he then comes back to the Vikings later? Or?
No, I don't think so. My question is, do you think Aaron Rodgers starts practicing doing dump offs to Dalvin Cook in the parking lot of the facility when they first meet?
I'm going to tell you he's not the most reliable backfield pass catcher. Dalvin
Really?
Cook. He's not. He hasn't been.
Because I assumed that Aaron Rodgers wanted him on the team to kind of fill that role of an Aaron Jones.
Dude, I would be so much more confident in a backfield pass catcher in either Leonard Fournette, possibly even, dude, him and Tom Brady, that's a different story. Leonard Fournette showed he was hands in the backfield.
275 pounds right now. I'm sure if I go challenge Leonard Fournette on Starks Avenue right now in a 40-yard dash, I might be able to beat him. He looked so bad last year. We're still running back like 11, depending on your scoring system, but he was absolutely atrocious. Granted, that offensive line was also atrocious, but man, I think Leonard Fournette's career is done. He was also a guy that got a meeting with Bill Belichick over there in New England. Last call. We didn't cover every single division, but we definitely need to get this thing going. Any other things that jump out at you? Cardinals.
I'm gonna 100% put on the line that the Dolphins have a better season than the Jets.
Cardinals.
Even with their injuries.
I'm with you on that.
Even with maybe no Tyreek Hill.
I'm with you on that.
Hit that hot take, bitch.
I don't think that's that hot.
That's a hot take.
I don't think it's a hot take.
Thinking that the Dolphins are going to be better than the Jets next season, that's a hot take.
I don't think it's a hot take.
I'm going to say the fact that they think 5 fucking teams can beat the Eagles next season is where I'm aghast. Dude,
their defense did get a lot better.
Well,
this draft.
I think
offense reduced 0. Defense only got better.
I do think they're better than last year.
I think the Jets win the division. Aaron Rodgers wins
That's tough.
a 3rd MVP in 4 years.
Can you press that shit real quick? What the fuck?
think
We're behind 2 hot takes.
They lose the AFC?
Did you get some of his
championship.
peyote? Is this how this take happened?
Dude. Did you buy acid last night and take some? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Aaron Rodgers' peyote guy came over last night and helped out Jamie.
He doesn't do peyote. It's ayahuasca.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah, and he
spell
found himself in the dark.
Caleb B. Davis, spell ayahuasca.
I'm upset that I think I know how to spell it, and I'm a spelling bee type. I look like I went to calligraphy camp. IOUHEUSCO. Maybe.
Okay,
I could not follow that. What the fuck was
it? Dude, I don't know.
I thought you were going to pull an autism thing and just like go crazy.
gonna have to edit. I would have to edit in like
letters going
correct
through.
because none of us know if he's correct.
And
or
then
not.
you like
Close
scratch out
enough.
one of them. He's like, oh, C, no, wait, no, K.
Hey, guess what? iPhone would know me. They'd be like, hey, this is what you're looking for.
Okay, you guys ready to get into the good stuff or what?
Yes.
What's up?
This wasn't the good stuff.
Jamie Jakes's bona fide guaranteed top 12 fantasy football rankings overall. We are basing it off of Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code JAMJKSHB and you'll get your deposit doubled. Do a $100 deposit if you are, not a pussy, and I will get $10 into my account that I'll turn into probably 20. So that's why I am encouraging people to do that. Anyways, my top 12 picks. So things you need to know about Underdog Fantasy: 3 wide receiver. So wide receivers get bumped up significantly in the ratings because they're obviously more valuable because you need to start 3 wide receivers every single week. It's 1 flex, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, and a tight end is the format that you need to know about. Half PPR and everything else is pretty standard. Okay. So I am going to start with my number 1 and y'all have to react to it.
Perfect.
My number 1, this one's an easy one. It's a piece of cake. Don't overthink it. It's Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who will argue that maybe Jamar Chase will have a better season.
Who the fuck is that?
People
Not anymore.
on
Who
Twitter.
would argue that?
People on Twitter. There
First 4 games are already shot.
That's your mistake. Twitter people are
Yeah.
fucking stupid.
Okay, so let's play this game. Which is a dumber Twitter human being? The Trey Lance truther or the Jamar Chase 1.1 truther? Oh. So Brock Purdy. So this is news that we didn't cover, right? Brock Purdy did not go on the PUP list, which means his elbow is 100% ready to go, ready to sling it downfield. I heard somebody speculating like, oh, he'll do a lot of dump offs because he's not on the PUP list, which means he is 100%. And I know a little bit about the surgery, the Tommy John surgery, but my buddy is, I'm going to have to do burpees now, baseball guy.
You said Tommy John, you have to go into baseball.
Yeah, I owe burpees. And Coach Brady, and he's like, hey, man, because the only experience with Tommy John surgery I know of, or that's on the top of my head with an NFL quarterback, is Big Ben getting his done and him looking absolutely horrible when he came off of it. But he was also old, so his arm was kind of already going. And Brady's like, no, man, like baseball players, he'll be fine. He'll start the season. He'll be good to go. And he's ahead of schedule, and he looks absolutely incredible. Even so, there are people on Twitter currently right now saying that Trey Lance is the best quarterback. He's not even second string on the team.
Yeah.
That's the camera, right?
That's the camera.
Fuck Trey Lance, big cock Brock, all the goddamn way.
I'm Brock
Cock Brock, bro.
That's getting made into a reel.
Trey Lance truthers are, I believe, the dumbest human beings on the internet now.
Have you seen the tweet that came out the other day about him in practice? He only got 4 snaps and 2 of them were interceptions.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like the organization, the team is telling you this guy stinks, and there's still people on Twitter like, oh, but they're the draft capital that they use.
You know why people do that shit? Is because you want to say something really fucking dumb just on the off chance that you're right. So you see, I told you so.
You know what it is? It's people who drafted him in their dynasty leagues, and they're just holding on to him, and they're just flat out in denial. Sometimes you got Kyle Phillips on your team, and there's no reason for you to be excited about Kyle Phillips, 14th string wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans.
Also, the idea of why people were so hyped on Trey Lance when he got drafted was because North Dakota State quarterbacks looked really good when he got drafted. Carson Wentz looked good when Trey Lance got drafted. Doesn't look good now. So people were like, oh, North Dakota State, second coming of Carson Wentz. And now you're like, it is a second coming of Carson Wentz, just like the actual Carson Wentz.
North Dakota State played South Dakota State in like
Toyota Stadium in Frisco.
Yeah, I was working at a hotel at the time we housed the teams. I was in North Dakota. Yeah.
I was living in Plano at the time, and Natalie and I were going out, and we're like, why are all these fucking Jackrabbit fans walking around our city, our city right now? So yeah, shout out to Dallas or whatever.
Yeah.
Toyota Stadium hosts the FCA.
Yeah, for the FC Dallas,
time.
That's their. I live very close up there.
Toyota Stadium has had that like national championship for a long time, actually.
Yeah, they've been doing it. I don't know how long, but the same thing happened to me. I went to a Mavs game with my girlfriend during the Cotton Bowl, so I got to see Caleb Williams at the Mavs game. He was just walking around out there, like all of the fucking USC Trojans were there. It was cool. It was a fun time.
Number 2.
Right into it.
On my fantasy rankings, speaking of Jamar Chase being way overblown as a fantasy asset, Mr. Cooper Kupp. Now, one thing I cannot stand about the narrative about Cooper Kupp is that he is the smartest guy, and that's why he's super successful. I think pretty much all of the top 12 wide receivers in the NFL, fantasy-wise, are extremely intelligent and can read a defense, but none of them can get open, with the exception of Justin Jefferson, like Cooper Kupp, because he's a freak athlete, and people can't wrap their mind around it. Do you know why, Anthony? Why do you think people can't wrap their mind about Cooper Kupp being a freak athlete?
Because he's white.
Oh, gringo. Maybe that is why. Maybe it is his complexion that throws people off Cooper Kupp, and that's why I think you need to be taking him number 2 overall every single chance you can get. I've seen him fall like 7 or 8 in paid best ball drafts, and it's just absolutely outrageous. Every time he steps on a football field for a full game, he's going to score at least 15 points.
I understand that this is based off of 3 wide receivers, but if it was any other league, I would replace him with another white boy in Christian McCaffrey.
Mr. Christian McCaffrey, number 3 on my list, Anthony. Yeah. And you know what? I would not blame you for it. The reason I like Cooper Kupp a little bit more is, like I said, he is just absolutely electric and a wide receiver, and thus a little bit more valuable in this situation. With that being said, if you do take Christian McCaffrey 2nd overall, I'm not going to call you an absolute idiot like I would for certain other players taking them 2nd overall.
You're going to have to hand me the hot take button.
Go ahead, James.
Lord.
Go ahead, James.
Christian McCaffrey should not be drafted in your top 12.
I just kind of recovered from the last time Jamie yelled.
I do not believe that San Francisco is going to use him enough. No, I don't. I really don't. I'm unimpressed with San Francisco.
Explain yourself.
I'm unimpressed with San Francisco's running backs for the last couple of years.
What are you fucking talking about?
He was
There's
electric.
a lot of movement. There's a lot of movement on those running backs. They like throwing in different guys in different situations. I truly believe that Christian Kirk at the end of the year will not be the top 12 point getter. I'm not saying he's not worth a 1st round pick. I'm just saying he's not worth the top 12.
Wow,
and I'm going aggressive with it, but I truly do not believe.
They have McCaffrey and Debo, and you're going to say that you're unimpressed with their backfield.
I'm not saying I'm unimpressed with it. I'm unimpressed with how they use them.
I don't think so.
They use them.
I'm impressed with how they use
liberally,
them.
and therefore he's not like a bell cow type of guy.
They traded for McCaffrey like whenever the deadline was. Anyways, it was like end of year, so like he didn't even really get. He still popped up.
So it would have been week 8, right?
I think so.
Is when he got traded. Oh, he had a pretty shitty game to start there in week 8. He scored 36 fantasy points. Yeah, that's that's a pretty rough week. I really wish they would have utilized him better over there in San Francisco.
I'm gonna stick by.
And then, but you know what? Next week, week 9, didn't score any points. That's a pretty bad week, right? Well, it was a bye week. Okay.
All right.
15 points, 14.6 in the running back position. See? That's a bad week. Okay.
Yeah, it is a bad week.
24, 28, 22, 12, 28 for your fantasy football championship, and 18 if you have an 18-week game. He scored 15 points. I think that is just an absolutely awful take. He's only 27. He's still in the prime of his career. His new head coach was like his babysitter growing up. He is electric, and he produced in also a pretty shitty offense, and looks like he's averaged more points for San Francisco than he did over there in Carolina with Baker Mayfield over there for the first half of the season or whatever.
I think the defense helps a lot. I think he gets a lot of extra possessions. I'm just a big, especially with my fantasy team and my players, I'm big on what the floor is. Like, I don't want a 14. I just don't. If I'm picking you fourth, I expect you to be getting more than 14 points a week. I'm not even joking. Like, that's why I like Cooper Kupp. I think Cooper Kupp can get 14 points.
So you have like 3 players.
I need to hear your top 12 now. Like, who are you putting over Christian McCaffrey?
Purely depends on who, like, what kind of league I'm drafting in, right?
So Christian McCaffrey, if it is a 2 running back league, I am probably going to go ahead and take Christian McCaffrey first overall.
Yeah.
With the 3 wide receiver league, I'm taking Cooper Kupp and I'm taking Justin Jefferson. Honestly, even in best ball, if you take Christian McCaffrey first overall, I'm not going to make fun of you that much for it.
What running backs are you taking over Christian McCaffrey?
I think it sounds like he's not taking a running back over Christian McCaffrey.
So I'm not big on taking a running back. I will take somebody depending on where I'm positioned, but I much prefer the wide receivers that give me a good floor. With the PPR, they're going to get targeted 8 times. Hopefully one of those 8 turns into a longer touchdown. I don't have the confidence.
Man, you run your team on hope.
I make the playoffs every year. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, with how bad that take is, I am very excited that you're going to be in my dynasty league.
You should be hyped.
Super excited. So, number 4, Christian McCaffrey, number 3 on my list. Now, keep in mind, in this format is 3 wide receiver, so wide receivers are going to get bumped up.
Yeah.
Okay,
and it's fun.
Yeah, so keep that in mind with my number 4 pick, Bijan Robinson, going on to probably what's going to be the best running team. They ran the ball a lot last year with a guy who doesn't when you get the bad controller in Madden and like you can't juke.
Yeah.
Like that's Tyler Algier. He's like, I don't know if you ever had like an old school football coach growing up where it's like, hey, 2 hands on the ball, run north and south, none of this kind of funny business. Like one of those like 6th grade football coaches.
You're not fucking Barry Sanders and fucking get out there and blame fundamentals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's put up, that is exactly like Tyler Algier is that old school football coach's wet dream. And Bijan Robinson, talk about camp hype. The routes he is running on Twitter right now, absolutely toasting his defenders. He is an absolute weapon. And I love Austin Eckler, but I'm just not drafting him that much because I'm taking Bijan ahead of him every time, and Bijan's currently going after Austin Eckler. I love Austin Eckler. This is not a shot at Austin Eckler, but Bijan is just going to be such a massive part of that offense, and it is a good, strong running offense where Tyler Algier was able to perform last year, and for that reason, I am taking Bijan Robinson 4th overall in Best Ball Underdog Fantasy. Any problems with that?
He's a bell cow. It makes more sense.
I'm just trying to put together what the fuck you just said. That's like, it's just.
I don't have the solidified proof in Atlanta right now to be able to say I'm confident in Bijan.
Exactly.
That's
I'm
why
the
I
same
like the
way.
pick,
It's
though.
I mean, I could definitely see him having a good season. I wouldn't die on that hill. I'm not going to make that bet.
Dude, I had Cordell Patterson last year, and he did better than Tyler Algier ever did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Every week, too.
Falcons have question marks everywhere.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
not the running back
and it's
position.
not-
You
it's
know
not
Bijan's
that-
going to get used.
They're not concerning question marks either. It's just like, okay, but let's see it. We got to see you guys perform. My bigger thing, I mean, when you're talking about running backs taking carries from each other, I'll definitely say Bijan's going to be their guy. He's going to be number 1. And so, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that.
You know
being
what,
something to go
dude? They
for.
are in the worst division in football. Like nobody fucking plays defense in that division.
So let me tell you if this would get you excited. So let's say Bijan Robinson first 4 games this season, gets 17 carries, 18 carries, 20 carries, and 24 carries. That was the last 4 games after Tyler Algier won the starting position over, essentially, for the Falcons. That's how many touches he was getting. In those last 4 weeks, he scored 22, 14, 16, and 14 fantasy points. Now, he only got targeted once, 5 once, and in week 18 he did not get a target. Bijan is already toasting legitimate cornerbacks in one-on-one drills, not lined up out of the backfield. All the dump offs he's going to get, all of the touches he's going to get, it's just, barring injury, going to be an absolutely massive year for who I also think is a generational talent, along with Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Bijan's better than Jahmyr Gibbs personally, but Brad Holmes is my Lord and Savior at this point, so I'll just trust him with whatever he wants to do. But I think Bijan Robinson is just going to have an absolutely massive historic year on the level of like Saquon Barkley coming out of his rookie season.
Honestly, I can see that now that I think about it too, because like Bijan really brought Texas back into like relativeness in college football, and they were not they weren't fantastic. They weren't great. Like, you know, they were a good team, but it was built around Bijan. So Atlanta's got to have a similar approach. They have to. Yeah,
and when you see a player like Kenneth Walker in college just raise the whole level, single-handedly beat Michigan, who made the playoffs that year. Like, literally, I think he scored five or 6 touchdowns that game, ran for like 300 yards or something crazy like that. Or like you said, like a Bijan or a Kendre Miller for TCU. I don't think it was Max Duggan putting the team on his shoulder, and Quentin Johnson did his best, but Kendre Miller really made that team way, way better, elevated that team to a whole different tier from the running back position. We got a whole lot of guys. I think we have 3 guys, maybe 4 guys in this draft class that are generational talents at the running back position.
It was a great draft.
It's going to go down in history as one of the best drafts, I believe, going forward. Number 5 on my list, and that is where I am putting Mr. Jamar Chase. He's still...
That's fair.
It sounds like... I feel bad because I feel like whenever I bring him up, I feel like I'm talking shit about him.
Because you are.
Because I kind of am, but people are saying that... People are taking Jamar Chase ahead of Justin Jefferson in dynasty drafts right now.
That's dumb.
Like, what are we talking about?
Even with a healthy Burrow, I wouldn't take that. I would never make that bet.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, just Chase needs the T. Higgins there. Like if T. Higgins wasn't in Cincinnati, would he be as good? Probably not. You could scheme far better against him.
I think it has a lot more to do with Joe Burrow than T. Higgins. But I get what you're saying. There, skill level alone. Jamar Chase is what it is. It is what it is, but he is going to be tied to Joe Burrow, so that's what people are saying, like, oh, he's going to be tied to Joe Burrow, so that's why you want him in Dynasty. It's like, man, when you're projecting out like 3-4 years in the future, just stop it, because that's not how the NFL works. There's just too many factors, and
there's always somebody better. Like an NFL team will not wait for you if they don't have to. There is always somebody better. It's a cutthroat business. So, yeah.
Moving on later in my list, after Jamar Chase, I have Tyreek Hill. He is a guy who I just never know what to do with early in drafts. It's just like you always feel good when you have him on your team. It's stressful having him on your team because he'll have first halves where he gets 2 targets and second halves where he'll get 3 targets and he'll take those 3 targets for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. And it's just like, how sustainable is this? But it is sustainable year after year. And he's already talking about retirement, but he's not showing any signs of slowing down. He has a great offense, I think, going on in Miami with Tua Tagovailoa throwing him the football, who is extremely accurate, especially deep. It's just, I have a tough time taking him a lot of the time because he does go so early, and I just don't love him quite as much as I love other guys.
I like Jalen Waddle a lot more than I like Tyreek Hill, to be honest.
How many fantasy leagues are you in with me?
I think 2. 2 or 3. No,
Well,
2.
I might send you some more invites after that.
Because Tyreek Hill right now reminds me a lot when Hollywood Brown was on the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. Like in terms of what he's going to give me every fantasy week, he's either going to give me like 3 99-yard touchdowns each and just be like, it's amazing, and I've gotten like 40 points, or like there's going to be a week where he gets like 6.
Yeah, so maybe that. I mean, so that's the argument for him in best ball when you don't have to choose to start him or not. But at the same time, in best ball, when you do draft that first round draft pick, you are kind of expecting that guy to produce points for you to make your lineup every single week. Mm-hmm. And for that reason, I just feel I get like funny feelings about Tyreek Hill. And then, you know, he does have those games where you watch him and he's not on your team and you're like, well, man, it would really have been nice to have Tyreek Hill. But then you'll watch games where they will kind of
shit the bed,
shut him down, leave some help over top with the safeties. And
it helps to sometimes just tell them just run in a straight line, and then you'll be distracting the cornerback. And
the running the straight line guys do make me nervous sometimes, and that's why I like somebody who can do it all, like Justin Jefferson, and I do like Jamar Chase, and obviously Cooper Kupp a lot. I love Cooper Kupp a lot more than Tyreek Hill. But if you take Tyreek over Chase, I am not going to call you an idiot at all. Up next on my list, Austin Eckler, a guy that just loves scoring touchdowns.
Yep.
Do I need to say anything else more about that?
Nope.
Okay, moving on. Next guy on my list, Garrett Wilson.
Wow, my God.
I believe number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on my list. He did sprain his ankle in practice, I believe, on Thursday. It's a low ankle sprain. He'll be fine. He has been cooking against Sauce Gardner. They are training in camp together, making each other better. Iron sharpens iron, just like another man sharpens another one. I think I messed that one up a little bit. It goes the opposite direction,
You're pretty
I think.
close.
But
you were in the vicinity of it.
Garrett Wilson, I am a big believer in him as a talent. There are human beings out there that think Chris Olave is better than Garrett Wilson. There are people who think JSN is better than Garrett Wilson. On Twitter, man, I get in arguments with these guys. I can show you the tweets. But I just think Garrett Wilson, he is on a whole different level than anybody in his current draft or in his draft class from last season. His body control is electric. His yards after the catch, his elusivity, the way he can get open. Obviously, he's very intelligent. And we have just seen Aaron Rodgers take middling wide receivers and shoot them up into the stratosphere. Jordy Nelson, Donald Driver, those types of human.
Driver, I forget
If he
about
makes
Donald
the
Driver.
in group for Aaron Rodgers, this is an amazing pick. The only thing that scares me is the second you're out of Rodgers' favor, you're out of Rodgers' favor. Like, he doesn't bring you back in once you're out.
They already have too good a chemistry in camp that they throw the ball to each other all the time. The out of favor thing I used to believe in until I saw Christian Watson drop a 70-yard sure touchdown by Aaron Rodgers and then proceed to produce the rest of the season. So I think Aaron Rodgers in his vision quest really just looked into himself spiritually and decided that he's going to give young wide receivers second chances and third chances, even if they screw up. But honestly, I'm not even worried about it because he is such a great talent. He produced last year. He received over 1,100 receptions, only 4 touchdowns last year, which really kept him out of the upper echelon of the point scorers for wide receiver position last year in fantasy football. I think that's going to change this year with Aaron Rodgers. There's no reason it won't. Aaron Rodgers, you can say he took a massive downslide last year. You could also say he had a broken thumb last year in his throwing hand. So why don't you also shut the fuck up about that?
I have a question for you, Jamie.
Yes.
At the start of this podcast, you talked a lot about not digging into training camp hype. You've now brought up 2 training camp videos on your fantasy.
Did I say that I don't like digging into training camp hype? I thought I said I loved it.
You said you loved it.
I do.
But you love to like how much people get pushed up how I received that.
He said he usually doesn't let those videos.
But this year is this year? Or?
Well, that's more of a confirmation bias. I had that take before. The only training camp hype that has changed my mind about anything is that one clip from Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
That is the. I'm not buying into the JSN camp hype. Those videos aren't that impressive. A lot of them are on air. It's like I can show you a lot more impressive Elijah Moore camp highlights than I can JSN highlights at the moment.
Or Denzel Mims. We want to go real deep on the depth chart.
Shut up. I'm sure he'll make the roster.
I hope so. I was very disappointed when he got drafted.
Going down, AJ Brown. If you take AJ Brown ahead of Garrett Wilson or Eckler, I wouldn't be mad at you. I think you got to take Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Bijan ahead of AJ Brown. The argument for AJ Brown, I still do think he does have wide receiver number 1 overall ceiling this season.
Yeah.
Just because the Eagles were so dominant last year that they just shut down the offense. Yeah. Most of the time in the second half, they were up by 30 points, and they're like, we're just going to hand the ball off and go 3 and out 6 times in the fourth quarter. All we have to do is go 3 and out and punt, and we're going to win this game. And that's kind of how they operated the whole season last year. And he's just unstoppable. And with Jalen Hurts, Jalen Hurts just knows that corner he's just so dialed into that corner, that AJ Brown corner, just like throw it up to him, literally the same side, like 3 plays in a game where it's just like it looks like sometimes you would be watching Red Zone last year and you thought it was a replay. An AJ Brown touchdown catch because he did the same thing in the second quarter. Yeah. And it's just, we thought you were watching a replay, like, nope, he did it again. And you're like, oh. Well, that's good news if you have A.J. Brown on your roster. I love him. I don't like taking him early or mid-first round, but he definitely has the opportunity to be an absolute monster this year. And I expect him to perform very well, so that's why I'm putting him there at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I agree.
Number 10. I'm actually very low on this guy. I don't know if y'all have looked into the fantasy football landscape. I have Travis Kelce. He is going much, much higher in best ball drafts. He's going around 8. I don't think I might have taken Travis Kelce once. He might have fallen to me at 12, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll take Travis Kelce. The reason I don't like Travis Kelce is not because I don't like Travis Kelce. It's because I like a lot of other different tight ends this year. Dallas Goedert, I'm a big fan of. I'm actually not super excited about TJ for where he's going, but I am excited about Kittle for where he's going, and I'm super excited about Mark Andrews in particular.
What happened to you and Cole Kmet?
Cole Kmet. I traded him.
Yeah, I thought you were like really hyped on Cole Kmet for a while there.
I don't think I was. Was I hyped on Cole Kmet?
I thought
not in an
going
episode.
into fantasy. I thought or last year going into fantasy, I thought you were pretty hyped on Cole Kmet for some reason.
Well, he did start last season with like 3 goose eggs in a row, and then still ended up being tight end 11. Cole Kmet is a whole different situation. I traded Cole Kmet. Tell me. So this is a trade that I am most worried about not working out in my favor, but I think I did a good job. So it's Superflex Dynasty. I have Jalen Hurts. Okay, I had Cole Kmet and Pat Freiermuth. Ooh. I traded Cole Kmet and Pat Freiermuth for Dallas Goedert.
Okay,
and I got a 3rd round draft pick next year.
Yeah,
for
you
him.
won.
Yeah, that's a good.
You won that one.
Good.
I wouldn't. I mean, I'm not high on tight ends. I mean, I'm pleased with T.J. Hawkinson. I mean, I don't know what his ceiling's going to be. I think the Viking offense next season is going to be crazy. I think so.
They're going to have to score a lot of points again.
You don't think so?
The Vikings, I think they will.
Oh, yeah. No, they definitely will. They definitely will.
Yeah.
It's our defense that's still my question mark.
Those Lions-Vikings games are going to win.
End of the fucking... Dude, they're week 15 and 17 or 16 and 18 or something like that.
That's
I'm
terrifying.
Dude, I am fucking scared.
Line.
I know that the Lions, dude, by the time that we're at that point in the season, I'm going to be like, dude... As normal, as a Minnesota Vikings fan, these are going to either make our entire fucking year or break our entire fucking team. Yeah. That's how it goes every season, dude. So having TJ, I'm so happy with, especially when we were in that weird zone between Kyle Rudolph with Irv Smith, who's now a Bengal, and now having TJ Hawkinson that we just kind of did that trade for. That it definitely made sense afterwards, but before the fact, I was like, dude, that's what our priority is right now when your quarterback's on his ass on the floor this whole time. I'm just not hyped on tight end positions. If you don't have one of the top 5 or 7 tight ends in the league, you're working the waivers every fucking week playing matchups on defense.
It really is. If you don't have Travis Kelce, you're working the waivers
or Kittle. So I don't blame drafting those people. If they're available, I don't blame drafting them, but it's like Do you really want to make your first pick a fucking tight end?
No.
I've lived that experience. I think I have lived that experience in the past 2 years ago.
Somebody did that last year in our draft, and I forgot who it
might have
was.
been me, honestly.
I happily take my Mark Andrews as a third tight end off the board every year.
Yeah, So reason getting to Mark Andrews, why I love Mark Andrews, is because that whole other receiving core over there is just shit.
Yeah.
Rashawn Bateman has a bad foot. I don't think he's going to have a good season. Zay Flowers the rookie seems to be the best wide receiver in camp, and I don't think it's because he is ultra talented.
Yeah.
I think everyone else just stinks.
And Mark Andrews is always running that little, it's about 5 or 7 yard route, and Lamar's back there doing his thing. There's not a lot of time to look downfield.
Easy.
Mark's there. Cool. Mark's there.
Also, watch how you talk about my boy Devin Duvernay.
Devin Duvernay.
Yeah, it's
let's not talk about Devin Duvernay.
No, that's my boy from high school. So
Jamie said this is my podcast, guys.
Duvernay's not going to do much numbers.
He won't, but
late in the draft, like I said, like Taysom Hill, even in redraft and dynasty, Tyler Conklin, who's going to be catching passes from Aaron Rodgers, Isaiah Likely backing up Mark Andrews. There's just so many just great options late in the draft for tight end position this season.
that was your top 10 right there, right?
I believe Kelsey was number 10, yes.
Where the fuck was Stephon Diggs?
Number 11 on my list. So I do have more to go. Snub on this list.
Wow.
Speaking of the Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I am a little bit nervous about not putting him on. The only reason I don't want him on my list is because he's not a deep threat. Now I am expecting him to get a lot more deep balls this year. I'm just not as excited, especially in best ball, when I want those big boom weeks, those 30-point weeks. I don't think I'm going to get that from Amon-Ra St. Brown like I will get it from Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
A little bit of camp drama leading up to it. That's just
always
par for the course with Stephon Diggs. He's going to run his way out of town next year. It's just the way it goes with when
He'll go
you're
play
dealing
with Aaron Rodgers and Dalvin Cook and fucking Green Bay
and win their second Super Bowl and Aaron Rodgers, whatever, 6th MVP at that time.
after his 19th darkness retreat.
Yeah, and then to round off, so whenever you're doing a snake draft, you have 2 draft picks back to back. So I cheated, and there's a horn barking or beeping outside our studio here in Starks Ave. That'll happen. That'll happen out here.
They have a sign.
So it's our first fan. Not except we're not recording live, so that's confusing. But I have a 2 these guys are tied for me, tied for 12th and 13th. If I have them available, I'm taking them back to back. Mr. Nicholas Chubb for the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
No more Kareem Hunt. They got Jerome Ford there. He'll be catching a lot more passes. He'll be in a lot more explosive offense, and he's going to get a lot of touchdowns this year, just like he did in the first half of last season with Deshaun Watson over there. And Devontae Adams, a guy who just keeps on doing it year after year. We were all out on him, or I was out on him last season when he was catching footballs for some bum over there in Las Vegas. Guess what? He still produced incredibly well. Anthony, you sound like you have a problem with that. Defend yourself.
Dude, it's Ryan Tannehill. I will go on record to say Derek Carr is better than Ryan Tannehill.
Tannehill, you're talking about Tennessee. You're thinking about DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, I'm thinking about DeAndre Hopkins. Sorry.
That would be absolutely insane if I put DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I don't know why the fuck. Yeah, I was. Yeah,
and that's
sorry, I'm
someone,
out of it.
and
I'm
that's
still just not confident in the Raiders.
I have another dynasty trade for you.
Uh-oh.
I traded for, so this is when before Dalvin Cook was cut.
Okay.
I traded for Alexander Madison.
Yeah, go ahead.
And DeAndre Hopkins, and I gave up next year's first round rookie draft pick. I got a 3rd round back, and I gave him a 2025 second round pick.
Ooh.
So basically a first for for Alexander Madison and Tennessee DeAndre Hopkins.
Going back to that Devontae Adams, do you have faith in Jimmy G to throw him deep balls?
I have faith in Devontae Adams. I think he's just a guy who's going to produce no matter who's throwing him the football.
Like if you're a quarterback, he's still getting 10 points a week if you're back there quarterback.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I throw it. I mean, I would probably get negative 60 points because I throw too many pick sixes, but
yeah.
I'm going to throw enough balls as long as my hand can still fit around that sucker. I'm going to get it up to anybody.
Get ready for a bunch of 5-yard receptions, dog, because that's what he's going to be doing
I was
all
gonna say
year.
real. That was a real. It's like,
He's going to...
Yeah, we need a button that says real alert.
so I do want to say Jordan Addison. We didn't talk about him speeding the puppy pilot.
Well, this is dead.
No.
Well, that concludes our show for today. We did lose our video at some point.
How
I'm
long
not
has that been
exactly
dead?
sure when. I'm not exactly sure how. But that's what happens here on Starks Avenue. We still do have the audio going. Mr. Anthony, you have anything to tell us?
Chargers, we're going to be winning a Super Bowl within the next 5 years, so be ready for that.
Wow. The horn went off for
Pass
the
it,
people.
dude. Pass it.
Yeah, so-
Obviously, there's going to be some more hot takes
Yeah, so
coming.
get ready. Chargers are going to be Super Bowl champs within next 5 years. 100%.
I'll just go with the plug. If you go to EZO Chiropractic, make sure you use the Normatec there.
Someone get
Oh,
some
shit, I
kickbacks.
forgot. Yeah, I have to do plugs.
Follow me.
Can I do my comedy plugs? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Why not?
Reno's Chop Shop every Thursday night over in Deep Ellum. I host open mic. Make sure to come out to that. It's a lot of fun. Sign-up's 8 o'clock. Showtime 8:30. Reno's Roast Battle is coming up August 25th at 9 p.m. Jamie Jakes will be on that show. It's going to be a lot of fucking fun. Make sure you come out to that as well. And September 30th at Reno's Chop Shop, we're doing Austin versus Dallas round 2 comedy showcase. That's gonna be badass as hell. So all those tickets are now on sale. Make sure to go get them. Cool.
Caleb?
Hello, Caleb B. Davis here. Signing off. I can be found on Twitter, Instagram at FunnyCBD or TikTok at Funny CBD Comic, I think is what it is. So Vikings are gonna give me a heart attack again this year. I'm gonna cry because our defense is still frightening, but I'm still hopeful and optimistic. And this episode was great. We're gonna win the Super Bowl, but we're not going to this year. So.
And I have been Jamie Jakes. Thank you for listening to What Are We Talking About with Jamie Jakes, a football podcast. You can follow me at drjamiejakes on Instagram, and you can follow me at jmjks on Twitter. Thank you. Good night.
Good.